Okay, we're here to do the match play drawing for 2017 and 18. We got 40 players playing this year. We're doing our positioning by random draw. All names are going to be put into a hat or box and drawn one by one. First 16 players that are not club champions will be selected to play in the first round. The next 24 players will receive buys. All club champions get a bye, so if you're a club champion and you get selected, you'll move on to the second round rather than be put into the first. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and shake it up. Our 40 names in there. First up, Carl Bergner. Next up, Jim Edge. Carl Bergner and Jim Edge, first match. Next up, Kevin Stosh, former club champion, moves into the second round. And he will play the winner of that Bergner Edge match. Next up, whoops, or down, Frank Ferrante. He is a former champion and he will move into the second round. Next up, Paul Stausch. Got the Stausch brothers out of the way quick, huh? Might make a few people happy. Just kidding, guys. Where did we put our other Stausch? Let's see, that's what I get for talking crap. Ferrante and Paul Stausch. Next up, Jerry Rivers. Go back into the first round. Next up, Joe Pagano will be playing Jerry Rivers. Next up, Bob Black. Next up, whoops, probably don't want to put the same ones in there. Carmen Santoro, former club champion, or excuse me, match play champion. Carmen's going to go right there. Next up, Ken Morgan. Be playing Bob Black. Next up, David Henniger. Next up, Dave Thomas. Next up, whoa, excuse me, Dave. Excuse me, everybody. Wish you were, see, I thought you were a club champion, unfortunately not. You'll be playing Dave Henniger. Dave Thomas and Dave Henniger. Next up, Tom Carreras, former club champion. Tom will be playing Carmen. Next up, Howie Spitz. Next, Dave Schillinger. Next up, Tom Adamczyk. Next up, Michael Wilmore. Next up, Richard Four. If it wasn't for Richard Four, there might not be a match play. I believe it was Mr. Four that came to me originally and asked me to do this. And we were about 9 or 10 guys back then. Thanks, Richard. Joe Collins will be playing Richard Four. Next up, Larry Masterman. Then David Martin playing Larry Masterman. Now, everybody going forward will be playing in the second round. Next up, Michael Barnes. He'll play the winner of Pagano and Rivers. Next up, Dennis Marquez. He'll play the winner of Bobby Black and Ken Morgan. Next up, same one, excuse me. Next up, Gary Kramer. George Striefer gets to play Gary Effin Kramer. Or did I say Effin? I meant F. Oops, tore up Harm's name pretty good there. Next up, Kenny Johnson. Next up, Donnie Pantel. Okay, next up to play the winner of Henniger and Thomas, Joe Downey. Joe, you can take a little Caribbean vacation and wait for those boys to duke it out. Next up, Mr. Peter Bisconti. He'll play the winner of Schillinger and Spitz. Next up, John Alcott. To play John Alcott will be Todd Carreras. Todd Carreras. Donald Bain. Last year's champion, isn't it? Harm Shoot. Wow, that's got a death match right on the beginning. Sorry about tearing your name there, huh? But you are the one and only, my friend. Jay Saline, the commish. He'll play the winner of Mr. Wilmore and the Damachek. Next up, Freddie Ron. And he will play the winner of Mr. Ford and Mr. Collins. Next up, Andy McGahee. To play Andy McGahee will be Frank Rallo. And the last three, Mark Levinson. And to play Mark Levinson will be, I got one more in there somewhere. Jeff Howie. And the last one, I don't even have to pick him, Mr. Patron. Mr. Patron will play the winner of Masterman and Martin. So there it is, guys. There's your match play brackets, the winner's side anyway. Hopefully you don't have to see the loser's side, but we'll have that all posted. Thanks for participating. Let's go ahead and get those matches scheduled.